Hello there, it's really nice to see you again. And today I thought that we could go through a little session on being your best self. And I did say that I'd do some of this in my garden, so I have cobbled together a little learning classroom outside here, the front of my cottage. So I'm going to introduce you to the uh, the classroom. So here we are. Here is, oops, here is what we're going to work with today. And for those of you who know about the best self model and in terms of coping and managing with stress, you will have picked up on some of the colours of the cushions out here immediately. I thought this might be nicer than doing this via a sort of soulless PowerPoint. And it's nice for me to be outside. So, okay, so I'm going to try to walk backwards without tripping up and just bring you up this bit of the garden. And you can hear my neighbour's dogs having a good old howl there. So, this bit here, whoops, let's see if we can, okay, so here, somebody going past on a bicycle. These cushions here represent space number one. And space number one is your very, very, very best self, where life is just incredible, almost euphoric. It's brilliant. We'll go into that another time. Let's just imagine then that those gorgeous, shiny, velvety green cushions are our best self, number one space. Now, normally here would be number two, where my feet are. And then would be number three, where my feet are again. And then in the middle here, this blue cushion is number four. And number four is a very, very significant space in the model because there are 7 spaces in all and 4 sits right in the middle. And after conducting a fair amount of research and talking to lots and lots of people, we figured out that when people get to space 4, they're still in positive stress. It's called eustress and it's spelled EU, eustress. So whatever's going on around, hello, big scary aeroplane. Oh. Okay, let's just carry on. So whatever's going on, like things like that, you're still coping. You're still managing and spinning lots of plates. I'm going to spin another plate right now because I think there's another aeroplane about to go over. So plug your ears. Yep. Great, eh? Okay, couldn't make that up. So the next space down towards the final space is space number 5. And you can see the colours starting to change here. Hope you can see that. Can you see that? Yeah. So, okay, so this is space number 5. And we're going to talk about space 4 and 5. But just to finish the whole model, then we would have space 6 here where my feet are, and then we come down to this beautiful, gorgeously coloured space here represented by my yoga mat, which is space 7. Space 7 is the peripheral space, and this is when, as you can see by representation of my cushions out on the decking today, the peripheral space is where you are furthest away from being your best self, and it's quite a tricky space to be in, but we're not going to talk about that space at the moment. We're going to back pedal, going to go past 6, and we're going to come here to 4 and 5. So I said earlier, 4 is where things might be okay, lots of plates to spin, but you're coping, you're managing, you're doing okay. Let's go to space 5. So come and join me down here on space 5, and let's talk about this space right now together. So space 5 is a space where you have started to tip over from experiencing external stresses, in a way that you can cope and manage, and actually can enhance your performance. They can help to focus your thoughts, they can help you to think clearly, to make snap decisions and the right decisions. And the chemical changes in your body in response to those kind of stresses keep you up in spaces 4, 3, 2 and 1. When you've tipped from 4 into 5, your eustress, positive stress, is turning to distress. And the important thing for you to know is that key to going back the other way is recognizing when, just turn that off, recognizing when that's happening so that you can do something about it. So how do you know? How do you know when you've gone from a 4 down to a 5? How would you know? What can you tell about yourself? How well do you know yourself to know that things have shifted, things have changed? Because we are very good as humans to accept subtle changes and not really pick up on when we need to actually deal with that now. Don't let that fester. Don't let those things accumulate. We need to do something about that now. So some of the things that you might be aware of are that if you've got any underlying health conditions like IBS, or you suffer from migraine headaches, if sometimes your sleep pattern gets disrupted, then this starts to really kick in now. Again, going back to a lot of the conversations that I've had over the years with many people who have been in very stressful situations, one of the key things that they report is a change in their emotions. And that's true whether you're up that way, up in your best self, or down that way towards the periphery. It's the emotions that we feel that can give us our biggest clue to what's going on in terms of our well-being and how we need to respond to that. So one of those things is we stop responding and we start reacting, and we snap at people, and we find them irritating, and we find life unfair and unjust, and we feel like we're a failure. We feel like we haven't done all we could do, and then we question our abilities and start to really ruminate over things that have begun to push us slightly over the edge. So as soon as you start to feel those things, as soon as you start to feel that tension, as soon as you start to feel your anger starting to rise, as soon as you start to notice that your emotions are tipping you towards tearfulness, and I don't mean the kind of tearfulness that you might need to do when you're grieving, when something really significant has happened and you need to cry and you feel better for it. I mean the kind of crying that goes on where it's uncontrollable. The slightest thing can trigger it. And this can be in the workplace, this can be if you're confined at home at the moment. It can be that one last thing and you find that you're just a blubbering wreck. So between 4 and 5, these are the spaces where you start to really need to pay attention, because what we want is we want you to be able to cope. There's so much going on right now. There's an awful lot being asked of everybody, and we want you to be able to at least stay in the 4 space. Some people are flying right now. Some people have really found their mojo and they're up there in their best self. And all power to everybody who experiences that at this time. But a lot of people aren't going to be there. A lot of people are going to be at 5, at 6, at 7. So when you're at 5, stop and think, okay, what can I do? What can I do to help me get back up to a 4? And key to that is remembering what the 4 felt like. What did it feel like? That is a really, really strong magnet to pull your thoughts, pull your emotions back to that space. So focus your energies there. What was 4 like? What were you doing? What were you feeling? How are you behaving? And if there's something external that's just happened and come on top of everything else that you're trying to cope with, okay, then take a deep breath and think about other times in your life when this has happened before, because it will have done. You'll have been a 5 before. You'll have been a 6 and possibly even a 7. So just stop today and ask yourself, what number am I? And if in all honesty you think, I'm going over to a 5, then look for some things that will lift you back up to a 4. And these can be really, really, really simple things. Really simple things. Key to staying a 4 is staying connected, to communicating with others when you're starting to slip. Just letting somebody that you trust, that you care about, that you know cares about you, tell them. And let them be in the space with you. Like I'm being in the space with you now. If you're in a 5 space, I'm sitting in the 5 space right now with you. Okay? So the key is, ask yourself, where are you on that scale? What can you do to help yourself get back up to 4? Because you've got to do something. You have got to do something. You can't stay at a 5 and allow yourself to go further down. So come on. Where are you? I can just see behind me that gorgeous number 1 space. Can you see it? Just under my ear. That gorgeous number 1 space. Think about that. Think about number 1. That's you. You're still number 1. You're absolutely still number 1. You got this. Okay, that's enough from me. I'm sure you've got lots to do today. I'm going to leave all the interruptions in. The jet planes, the cars going past, my cat trying to get my attention, the beautiful bumblebees bumbling by. Wherever you are today, have a good one. Wherever you are. Go well.